Great. Good evening and welcome to the Hopkinton School Committee special meeting of January 30th, 2025. The meeting is being conducted entirely remotely. It is both being broadcast and recorded, so just be careful that anything that is on your screen or sound in your room could be captured and broadcast out. So the first meeting on our first agenda item we have this evening, it's a very short agenda, is the adaptive playground. And Mrs. Rothermick, that is you up there for that.
Okay, thank you. So we spoke in the fall about the possibility of the school committee sponsoring the article for the adaptive playground as part of the capital plan. So it did go to CPC, who did vote to approve $300,000 for the playground. CIC did not approve for the playground to be part of the capital plan. So typically, you typically have the CIC approve it, and then town manager would have put that as an article on the town meeting warrant. Since it did not go through that process, and after the select board meeting on January 21st, that was a joint meeting called by the select board for the school committee, CPC, and appropriations to discuss the playground. It was suggested that anyone can sponsor an article for the playground. So what we have tonight is an inclusion to for the school committee to vote to put forward this article on May town meeting. There is not a funding source at this time, and that the funding source is not something that we determine. That is determined by the town manager. But in order to get it onto the warrant before the warrant closes, which is February 3rd, we pulled together this meeting this evening. So you can see the wording for the article, which is part of the agenda. And so it's up to the school committee to decide on their path forward.
Thank you. Is there, are there any questions or any comments that people have about putting this on the our vote tonight, a potential vote to put this on the town meeting warrant?
Do we need to have an amount on the warrant article, or it can be just because we don't really know exactly, everything's an estimate anyway?
Yeah, we could put it on this way, and I can just reiterate to the town what was on the capital plan.
Okay. That's my only question.
All right, if there are no other questions, is there somebody who would like to make a motion directly from the agenda, because that wording is the appropriate wording?
I move to approve the warrant article for annual town meeting adaptive playground article. Do I read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, borrow, appropriate from excess bond premiums, or otherwise provide a sum or sums of money for an adaptive playground at the Marathon Elementary School, including any and all costs, fees, and expenses related to the same, said sum to be spent under the direction of the school committee.
Okay, thank you. That is a motion by Jamie. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Second by Susan, and we'll do a roll call vote. I'll start with you, Susan.
Yes.
Kyla. I didn't hear you, but I saw you.
Yes.
Thank you. And then Chris.
Yes.
And Jamie.
Yes.
And I am also a yes, so that is unanimous. Thank you very much, Susan, for getting that all together so that we could make it in time for the before the town warrant closes. I know also that CIC is meeting, I think, on February 10th to review the CPC funding recommendations. So that we expect, I would think, to have some news at that point from CIC about that $300,000. And then we'll work to identify the funding source if the $300,000 is approved to move it forward to bring it across the finish line, hopefully.
Yep.
So the other thing on the agenda, and I sent it out yesterday as a revised schedule. I know we had talked about when we voted the schedule for the superintendent search that there might be some little changes along the way. And in working with the NASDAQ consultant, she's recommending that we start our screening committee a week earlier. I did reach out to both Susan and Kyla regarding that. And did people see the schedule?
Yes.
Okay, so that backing it up that week and having the trainings, because there are some trainings for the screening committee initially on the 24th. And then I think the 27th is the other one. It allows us then to bring a finalist, to vote a finalist on April 15th. And the idea of that is that it will hopefully help get us ahead of other districts that may be also searching for candidates, that candidates won't back out and say, okay, well, I got an offer from X district because I haven't heard from Hopkinton. So that's the idea behind that. They feel confident that it is a very viable timeline and that we're able to move forward with what we have in that way. So does anybody have questions on that?
My only question is there's no times.
So the times for the screening committee will be, I know, later in the day, like late afternoon into the early evenings. And I know
Okay.
that NASDAQ will coordinate that with you guys.
Okay.
In terms of some of the other things that are specific to like the school committee and the focus groups, actually not them because those have already gone out, the invitations for those, but the interviews that we do and the community interviews, those times will be set up as we get closer to them. So, yes,
Has the survey been created?
yes, the survey went out live with the information on the focus groups. And if you look in your school committee email, you should also have the entire email in there that links the survey at the bottom. It's also being sent out to specific targeted, groups who might receive it more than once, so that we're getting hopefully maximum participation.
Which email would that be?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask too. I
Yeah.
don't think I got that.
No.
So do you not get, Kylie, you should have gotten it as a parent in your individual email because it went out by listserv a
Is
couple
that
days
the
ago.
parent committee email? The parent, I got an
community-
invitation to the parent focus group.
Yes, so
On
at
that one?
the bottom of that is a link for the online survey.
Oh, okay.
I didn't, I haven't seen anything that
Okay, so Susan, I will make sure to send that to you as well. It would have come from the office of the superintendent if you want to do a search on your email.
okay.
It
because
came
we're
on the
copying
28th, if
Okay.
that helps.
So. All right, are people okay with the changes to the timeline?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I think by consensus, if that's okay with people, since it's just that little bit. Does anybody object to it? How's that?
I have no problem.
Okay. All right, so then with that being done, we'll get the applications out tomorrow in the morning for the screening committee so that Chris and Jamie can get moving on who they want to select for the screening committee. I know that I believe there's only one person that's a principal that's looking to be on the committee at this point. There were two when we talked last week. I think one withdrew from consideration, but there are central office administrators that will have to be chosen as well as the other groups we talked about last week. So. All right, then is there somebody who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay, motion by Susan. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Second by Kyla. I'll start with you, Chris.
Yeah.
Kyla,
Yeah.
Jamie,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Thank you guys for coming out tonight and for people that tuned in at home. So have a good
Thanks.
weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay warm.
Yeah. Try.